that we need more of. We need to continue to educate the public on the value of these games. I think personally, the Jackson State Grambling game in October is going to rival soon the Bayou Classic. Because I think Vegas is a great place to have people come through. It's going to have a crossover atmosphere, and I think they're going to draw some numbers, and I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to make people open their eyes and say, "Well, wait a minute, we got another big game that's brewing around the country now that people should start looking at." So I think that you'll see some eyeballs start to change, because of certain things that are happening out there.
Yeah. And hopefully, go ahead.
I was going to sneak in here for a minute. First of all, of course, I work with two great guys, Curtis. Of course, when you all been talking about a team, I think I got a great team. I'm the coaching part of it, and they the technical part. So, but first I want to say thank you, Coach, for giving me one of my bucket lists of being a former head football coach and being the first Black college former football coach come from the field up to the box.
Oh, no question.
I appreciate that. And of course, we go way back with my family, my family and all that great stuff. One reason why I started this show was to give Black college football coaches exposure. And now we have also grown from there. One of the other things I thought, and you've been on it, and I've told them, many times about these classics and what they are. And sometimes they ain't about the money. You know what I mean? It ain't about the money. It's about the pageantry. It's about the history. It's about the brand, the HBCU brand. Here's my question to you. Why can't, and I know it might be on your mind that HBCU GO Sports can sit down at the table with and you said that everybody is on board, that we can't take the classic games, let the promoters promote them, let them make their money, because the money, I think that those 5 or 6 or 8 games that we can get that's going to draw 35, 40,000, 50,000, put it in a TV package and go sell it. And I know you were saying it's hard that to sell it, but man, we couldn't sell that to, Cadillac, GMC. I ain't saying we could get $1 billion, but we should be able to get some, 100 millions off of that package. Why that can't happen?
I think it can happen. I think it can happen, Johnny. I think that it's got to be packaged right. Number one, that's number one. Number two, I think it's all about who's bringing it to the table, and we've shown that this year with the classics that we have this year. I mean, we've gone from 1 classic down to 5, and I'm really excited about the Gulf Coast Classic we're doing in Mobile for Jackson State, Alabama A&M. That's gonna be a knockdown drag out, at Mobile Stadium, in Mobile. I think that we're getting close to going in that direction of what you're talking about. I think the other thing that I've been pushing the commissioners on, that I think, to your point, that I think we should really be looking at in across the board, is I'm trying to convince the commissioners to go to the NCAA and create a true Black college football championship and not have the SWAC MEAC. That's not the true Black college championship. I think that, when it comes in, if you bracket teams up, it comes into football against football. It ain't about Division I. It ain't about Division II. It's football against football. And I think that somewhere down the road, we've got to develop, we've got to have that, in football and basketball. And then we spread that out down the road. But I think that if we can get somebody to come to the table with the right dollar figure and put up a good dollar figure for the schools in the championship, I think it makes a lot of sense that these schools should look at it. And number one, it would help drive awareness. I think it would help drive the brand, because, you get 12 teams out of 4 divisions, 2 out of each or whatever, 2 or 3 out of each. and you play them in different sites, you're going to draw some numbers because people are going to follow, wherever these teams go. And I think you're going to really be able to drive a noise that has never been done before. And so that's one of my pushes that I think within a package down the road would also be attractive to what you were saying. But I think the class is something that, we got to look at down the road.
Yeah. Because I've been in the circles. Well, I've been in probably 99% of all the classics.
Right.
And they were great during the day. I know that was a window that, during our days, Bishop, that we had crowds every year. Even Valley had crowds.
Right.
I think we missed that window.
Yeah.
But I really feel that also, we need to start, as you say, selling the brand, the HBCU brand, not necessarily each school. I think we get more together than apart.
Right.
Because
totally agree.
Right. And it's just like the SEC and all these other, and that's why all these teams are jumping from one conference to the other. It's about the TV dollars.
Well, no question. That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
Yeah. So I don't see why, we can't do that, because we can't let them steal our schools. They already stole A&T and Hampton. They already stole our schools because of the bans.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got to take advantage of what we have to sell what we have. And I just don't think we did we kind of letting that slide away if we don't come with the HBCU brand college football as a say just the SWAC or the MEAC or one school over the other. I think
I think you hit it right on the nose. I mean, it like when I was doing these 10-year deals, I had to convince the commissioners. Like I said, wait a minute. And I worked at ESPN for 8 years. I know how they function. I was one of the ones that brought HBCU sports to ESPN when I left. When I left and came back, they hired me as a consultant to help them out. So I knew the background very well. I kept telling the commissioners when I was first getting this thing going, it's like, look, how can you not support a black service that's trying to do something for black people? I don't get that. I mean, come on. Why are we not working together? Okay. I'm going to put you in millions and millions of homes. I'm going to get you exposure. All you're doing is living off a name of ESPN, the brand, who isn't doing much for you other than, showing up, put the camera up, doing the thing and out. That's it.
Ain't nobody there to tell our stories. Nobody in the booth to tell the story.
Well,
not at all.
Let me say this from the perspective of a fan. I believe the ESPN was doing the SWAC and the MEAC a disservice. Because before you guys came in the marketplace, there were a number of games that weren't even picked up, and you couldn't find the games at all unless they were being broadcast by the school.
Right.
And the reality, which was one thing that was very disheartening as a fan, is that once a school went to a neutral site game, it was almost impossible to find that game being streamed somewhere.
Bottom line, you're right, Rob. You're right. And the thing about it was that you don't have, down the road, I hope we're able to do a better job of it, but you don't have like no highlights at all. You don't highlights at all. So you wouldn't know, to Rock's point, you wouldn't know how the game ended. You just kind of hear the score. And that was it. That was it. And so I think that, we're slowly, let's put it this way, we're slowly trying to change that mentality, by create a destination where you can find us every Saturday, B, creating more storylines down the road to improve the product, and C, trying to get out here and do a better job within the schools of marketing why it's important that, you bring this kind of product. See, I think, like, to Johnny's point, I'm trying to convince, like, the Tennessee States of the world to come back to HBCUs. Hampton, come back to HBCUs. A&T, come back to HBCUs. Why quit playing the money game. We could build the money if we all get together. If we all get together in the pool now. You got a network. Like I told the NFL today. Use me as your marketing tool. You got a network that's got major distribution. The game is distribution. See, the one thing that a lot of people get caught up in, this is what muddied up the landscape of HBCU. People walk in the door, tell the commission, hey, I can film your game, I can do this and do that. But where's it being seen? Nowhere. 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 But the commissioners would run with it because they didn't know. And all they would heard was they put them somewhere on television. But they were landing, at Mars, where nobody could see it. Now you got true destination.
I hope we can come together, man. Because I think together, like you said, Curtis, so pleasantly, that we stronger together.
Bottom line.
We need to stop selling the individual brand, the swag, or the MEAC. We need to sell HBCU football or athletics and take that package to one of these big networks, and I guarantee you somebody would put some real money on
network.
And we ain't got to change the promoters. Y'all promote. Give me your last 5-year stub of what you made. You got it. But get some $500 million contract, man, and be good. And all the money go to the school.
I think that if we can get, I've got now 2 big brands that maybe might open that door a little wider for us. The NFL is talking about putting on HBCU games on NFL Network. NBA is talking about putting HBCU games on the NBA TV through HBCU GO in both situations. If we can crack that egg, that'll be a major thing. That would be major if we can crack that egg. Okay.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Simon, because one of the things that I see as kind of being a issue for the conference. I'll just say for the conferences.
Okay.
Is that, and I don't know how the PWIs did it, but the finances behind broadcasting and building the product in and of itself, someone has to foot the bill for that, right?
True.
Someone has to foot the bill for that. Like with your program, you have by far the best broadcast of any HBCU game that's broadcasting current, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who can, whatever that dollar amount is to put that game on, your product is superior, but I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Simon, the other 9 games that are broadcast all over the internet, they don't have that same quality.
No question. No question.
And I think that affects what people think of the HBCU brand.
Well,
why can't there be a standard, a production standard that is in keeping with the standard that you set for HBCU program? So that when they look at it, wherever they look at it, it looks the way it's supposed to look each and every time.
That's a good point, Rock. And let me try to take you a little bit to what I can tell you on that one. Is that what is happening is, for example, to your point, we're challenging the schools to start doing school-produced games. And a lot of them are forced in their conferences to do school-produced games, and that's how they're getting on air. The ESPN Plus, they're paying for that production themselves. The schools are. Okay. The problem is, to your point, putting the quality into it to make it a quality product. That's a big stickler, Rock. It's a big stickler because a lot of the schools are not set up for production, so they're hiring an outside group to do it. And that's been some of the dilemma. Now, what we're beginning to do is with every conference is give them the standard of what we do, and saying, we know you're not going to get the magnitude of this, but we at least need 5 or 6 cameras, and we need them to be this and set up this way. And so we have begun to start creating that platform for them, Rock, of what they need to try to match up to some of our quality. And we're not going to put games on our air unless they match up to some of the quality, to your point, that we're looking for. but we are starting to get the schools to look very heavily at that, and try, because they now understand that the quality is key. It's key, to your point. That people look at it like, oh man, this looks like a high school game. This looks like a college game. So it's a walk and crawl, Rock. But you're right on point. It's now trying to get the schools more vested in the equipment, the people, and begin to start understanding there's some value there if they can drive that product correctly.
Hey, Mr. Simon, let me ask you this question. I'm sorry, Coach.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Has there been any talk to that point where you've seen this? ESPN has done it with the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
NBA has done it with TNT. Has there been any talk with, and I won't name a particular conference, where there could be a more integrated partnership where, hey, you know what? We have XTV, but we're going to utilize your expertise to produce XTV. Has there been any discussion about that?
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. Just be patient. Yeah, there is some conversation going, and I think you'll see, give it another year to 2 years, and I think you'll start seeing some of that coming around the curve. I mean, now I think that one of the things that we bring to the table is, to Rock's point, people see how serious we are when we come in the house. They see what we bring to the table. And so I've heard from presidents, ADs, trying to figure out how they can match up to the quality we bring to the table. And so same way with the commissioners. I mean, one of the things I love about Charles McClellan, anytime you ask him about, oh, what do you think about your relationship with HBCU GO? He says the magic line every time: game changer. And I take that to heart, because I think we have changed the landscape, begin to change the landscape of Black college sports. Because
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'll finish. I just have one more question. Then we need to let you get some rest, Coach, because you got a big weekend.
I mean, the thing is that people start seeing, that Byron is really invested in this network. Now we're trying to get the world to understand, we're in it for the long haul. We're not trying to do it short form. And I think that's one of the things that we're really starting to make some difference in, the awards we're winning, quality of our programming, quality of announcers like Johnnie and others, quality of production, and just constantly beating on being the best we could be every time we step on that floor, on that floor or on that grass, whatever it is. And I think that, like I say, I took it for heart when the guy called me from CBS and said to me, you guys are doing the right thing. You're laying out some quality program. And I see it, the calls that I get. I got people from the Big Ten, SEC, announcers from all the NFL, other places, all want to come and do some work with me, because they see what the quality of what we're doing, and they're watching it. So that's a good sign, to say that we're moving in the right direction at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, guys, any last questions?
No, I just want to thank Mr. Symonds for all he's doing for HBCU media. The quality of the work that you and your team does is unmatched. And I know personally, anything I can do to help broadcast, promote, whatever, I'm here for you guys. And I think this game you have this week between FAMU and Alabama State, it has the potential of drawing more eyes than any game you've broadcast thus far. You have an absolute bona fide superstar in the football game, which is Andrew Body.
No question.
And you playing a legendary program in a legendary location such as Bragg Memorial Stadium. And so I just think that's the backdrop of a tremendous HBCU event, and I can't wait to watch it this weekend.
Well, I just want to, first of all, compliment all you three, man. I think you guys are doing a great job. Johnny's been telling me about this show, and I've been on it a couple of times with you guys, but you guys are growing the show, man, and keep doing what you're doing. I'm riding. My son is head of my development side. So, Johnny, make sure to touch base with Carrington. And I'd like to try to get some of you guys doing some stuff with us down the road. I'd like to create some podcasts on the network that just talk about HBCU GO like you guys are talking, you know, and if we could try to maybe get a partnership down the road, hopefully we can try to get that rolling sometime soon. So keep up the good work. You know, appreciate the support. Every time you get a chance, you could give us a mention. HBCU GO would appreciate it. You know, and keep just telling our story. You know, I keep watching grassroots, because like I was saying, one thing that is tough is having marketing dollars to spend to do what you need to do. But really, you know, coming out of our culture, we're a grassroots culture. You know, and the more people of us that talk about us grow whatever we're trying to grow. You know, so I appreciate you, gentlemen, you taking your time, and it's a good night, and I really thank you a lot for allowing me to be on. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simon.
You'll be in Vegas, right?
I'll be in Vegas for sure.
Yeah.
Will you be in Tallahassee this weekend?
No, I'm not gonna be in Tallahassee. We're doing Southern Heritage down in Memphis. So
Okay.
I promised Fred Jones I was coming down to Memphis this weekend for that game. So I'll be in Memphis this weekend for that game.
Well, I definitely see you in Vegas. Do I need to put my HBCU GO passes on my neck?
Call me. We'll make sure.
I know you're doing North Carolina A&T and FAMU as well, and we got a guy on this show that probably is going to be at the game. Make sure if you're at that game, make sure you get an opportunity to go into the Rattler Club or whatever they call it down there. It's a good time down there at Rattler Nation.
Oh yeah.
What is that? What is that place called? The
North End Zone. The North End Zone. But
I've heard about that.
Mr. Simon, but I want to say something because I think the record needs to be corrected, and I want to say this because I think it's very important. This shows very fact. One of the things, there was some angst about the deal, the 10-year deal with HBCU going. We was nervous. What money did we get? But I will say this: I know you have paid these SWAC schools very well. I can say that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it because this is one of the best deals that our commissioner. I know what the deal is. He didn't want to tell it because he got kind of mad at me because I asked, "What is the deal?" But I do know people, and I know you have treated us fairly, and I think it's a benchmark for any other deals that he has to do. So I want to
what?
Yeah. So I want to salute you for giving us a fair deal.
Oh, you said a benchmark. Okay, I thought you was here.
He better not go under what. Listen, I know we get it. And again, it was way better than ESPN. I'll say that. So
I do appreciate that, and you know, you have one of the best commissioners in the business, man. Charles McCullough we have a relationship that's unbelievable, you know, and because of him, that's how we've got a great schedule. You know, our schedule, you know, he brought the Las Vegas Classic to me. He just handed it to me, you know, and I was like, oh man, come on, are you serious? You know, I'm there. You know, there's no way I'm backing off of that game, you know. But, I mean, he just does a great job all the way around, man. So you got a gem in him. And you should be really proud of what he's brought to the SWAC nation. No question. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Look, I'll call you and get on the list, and I'm going to drive on up.
All right, man. I look for you guys.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you, Curtis.
All
right, man.
I said benchmark. I did not say. See, Rock, stop it. Y'all just need to stop. I said benchmark. I did not say benchmark. Benchmark. Excuse sometimes my Jackson accent. Okay.
No. I was about to say, hey, what are you doing? You trying to offend our guests up in here, man?
I said benchmark.
All right.
Stop.
All right. Hey, like I say, with no further ado, let's get busy talking about last week, Mr. Campbell. Last week, we had some games. We had Prairie View hosting Northwestern State, the same team that clipped Alcorn. Prairie View was able to close the deal. What'd you think about that, Mr. Campbell?
Well, you know, I talked about this. I said this is a game that Prairie View had to win. I was very adamant about that because, again, I believe in Coach Jackson. I believe what he's building down there. And I really, really wanted them to get this out of conference W. They did. Looks like they're going to roll with a new quarterback, the kid Carter 21. So we'll see what goes forward when they play Grambling.
Well, like I said, man, I called it. I thought Prairie View would win the football game. Coach Jackson and his program and his team, as you see them, they patient. They don't make a lot of penalties, except with the first game of the year. But a lot of those were pass interference. It wasn't really, jumping off sides and some knucklehead play. It was a play versus man. But, I like what he's doing over there. The kids, they play sound. They play like they've been there. And they just starting. I had a chance to talk to Coach Jackson this week, and he said some of those kids that he got transferred in there, they realizing that they play football down here in the SWAC. And so, it's got some of those kids' eyes open. They still trying to pull it together. He's doing a great job, and I didn't expect nothing but that he would win. But Northwestern got a good football team. I know they've been 1-20, one of the worst Division II teams, but it was a reason for that. They had a player that got killed down in that area. Coaches quit in the middle of the season. So that program has been through a lot. But if you look back in the day, they used to be a real good program. So that's why I wasn't really saying, oh, man, Prairie View going to walk in there and just walk over them. They got a good program down there, and they're going to win some football games.
All right, Coach, I just wanted to point out, when the last time you seen an air raid offense run for 352 yards? That don't look like, hey, that ain't no air raid, is it?
I don't think they air raid, are they? I don't think Coach Jackson.
That's what Coach Jackson said. They were air raid. They obviously not air raid no more.
Man, they can't. Man, that ain't even close to no air raid. They don't even look like no air raid.
I'm just telling you what Coach Jackson said.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I didn't know he had said that, Coach. I'm going to have to talk to him about that.
Yeah, I thought the guy that he brought was an air raid guy, his offensive coordinator. I thought he was an air raid guy. I may be wrong, though.
148 yards passing? I can do that in my sleep.
And what you say, you did that on one drive in Mississippi.
We have the documentation now.
Yeah, for sure. We can go down. We can go to the next. We can kind of buzz through this. Everybody thought this would be a out of conference loss for Bethune-Cookman, but I thought Bethune-Cookman would be able to pull it out. If they're gonna play Alabama A&M as tough as they played them, they must really have something. And they showed up and showed out against Edward Waters. We kind of talked about this yesterday with Coach Jenkins. Anything you guys want to add to this?
Well, like I told you guys last week or yesterday last week that I'm glad, we need Bethune-Cookman to win. That adds quality to our conference. We need them to get out of that funk. And, they sitting in a heat bed of recruits. They got to be better and they got to do better. So right. Good to them.
Now this game right here is interesting to me. This Alabama A&M game. They played a backup quarterback in this game, and they was able to put 49 points. I look at the stats, Coach, and I know stats don't necessarily tell the whole story, but I don't see 49 points worth of production here. You got 205 in the passing game, about 194 in the running game. They don't look like 49 points worth of production. Oh, but I see right here they had 2 lost fumbles. So and maybe a couple interceptions. So
they had 2 safeties.
Okay.
Right? So really those 2 safeties turned into 18 points. How is that? We tackle you in the end zone, you punt from your 20, we go down and score. That's 9 points. You get tackled in your end zone again. You kick off, that's 2. That you go down and score. I seen this game. Alabama A&M scored 7 points in the first quarter alone, right? Just 7. But it was 3 different possessions, 2 safeties and a field goal. So
which say you never seen anything.
Yeah, they only played half the field the whole game. Lane, I don't think past the 50.
Oh yeah, there you go, coach. Safety, field goal, safety. I've never seen a touchdown scored that way, coach.
Me neither, coach. Me neither, man. I was a little disappointed. You know, A&M got the ball, they fumbled, they got an interception. A&M's first pass was an interception. Interception going into the end zone. I seen Coach Shade over there, man. He was pissed off that first quarter because they only scored 7 points.
But they got it together. They had 21 scored in the second and the third, so they got it straightened out.
Rocky, I thought you was in his ear. He said, "Man, run that ball. Man, y'all better not throw another damn ball."
Coach, sometimes you don't have to pass it to win. I'm just gonna go and tell you.
That's right, Coach. That's right.
So this game was interesting. I actually, based on what I saw against Kentucky State, and I watched most of that game, I thought Grambling would come into this game and get roughed up by East Texas, a winless East Texas team. But I was wrong. They were able to beat the Whites.
Yeah.
And Coach, you said I didn't watch this game. You say you were able to look at the film on this one. And tell us what you saw, Coach.
East Texas wasn't no slouch. They had a nice quarterback that could throw the ball as well as run it. He rushed several yards against them. You know, it was a good football team. It was a good Division I-A football team. And Coach, if you look now, the SWAC has beat several Southern schools in the Southland Conference. So we have won some games in the Southland Conference where we used to didn't win any. So the hat goes off to our coaching staffs in the SWAC conference.
Now let me ask you this here, Campbell. In your opinion, does that bode well for the SWAC, or does it say that the Southland is trending down?
Well, you know, I got to come with some stats and facts. So here's a go. Out of conference games, the MEAC is 8-4. The Southland is 8-8. The SWAC is 4-9. SoCon is 5-14. So OVC is 9-10. So again, us 4-9 and the MEAC is 8-4.
But you know, 9 of them losses came to Division I-A teams. Matter of fact,
This is FC. No, Coach.
No, this is FCS schools, Coach.
FCS versus FCS. Come on, Coach. I come with facts. I don't do that. This is a real show here. No, I got this from Reddit FCS, cross conference FCS versus FCS record.
Now, some of our losses are against other FCS HBCU schools too. So it ain't against all the Whites. Because
But no, I'm just talking about. But
yeah.
With that being said, you look at the MEAC that's 8-4. A lot of those schools were against PWIs that they play.
What is the record between the Southland Conference?
The Southland is now. This is just what they've done out of their conference. They're 8-8. They play 16 games against other FCS conferences teams, and they're 8-8.
Yeah, I'm comparing the SWAC and the Southland Conference.
Well, what I'm saying is they're 8-8, and we're 4-9 in those games.
Again, we played 9 Southland Conference teams.
No. Total.
No, we played 13.
No.
And we're 4-9.
Yeah, 4-9 total. But to Coach's point, and right to your point, some of those games are like FAMU and Howard. That's an FCS game.
Yeah, and NCCU and Southern. You know what I mean? That was also a loss.
Yep.
So like I say, I'm gonna be honest with you, Mr. Campbell. The SWAC has been in the last 5 years I've been watching. The SWAC has been horrible against the Southland Conference.
Right.
A bad McNeese team beat Southern.
Nickel State,
yeah. It's been. I'm talking about. It's been horrible the last 5 years. And I think the 3 wins that I can think off the top of my head, with the South, 2 wins. These 2 wins are a good place to start.
Northwestern used to be. We played them when I was at Southern. Tough team. We were able to beat them when I was at Southern, but they were pretty good then. They were right in the middle of the road and a good football program.
Because we're gonna breeze through the MEAC. South Carolina lost to South Florida as expected. Is this a typical outcome of a Central Ohio and Morgan State game?
Yeah. Morgan State, 63 scholarships. They got a coach over there that's turned the program around with some respectability. They hadn't finished think Campbell better than third or fourth place in the MEAC, because they're always behind North Carolina Central and South Carolina State.
Yeah. In this next game, we got Cody versus St. Francis. And you know what I mean by Cody, right? COTY.
Celebrity coach?
No. Coach of the year.
Oh, coach of the year. Okay.
And this is Deshaun Jackson. Now, some people was telling me St. Francis is a Division II team. Are they a Division II team or a Division I AA team? I think they're a division. They're an FCS school.
Yeah, I think so too. I had a guy that worked for me left us at Alabama State to go work up there. I'm thinking they Division I AA as well.
Yeah, they're FCS school. Now this game right here, Coach, was pretty surprising. I didn't expect, after Hampton played Jackson State pretty tough, losing to A&T, I expect they would bounce back and come back and give Howard a game. And it looks like they laid down, Coach.
Hampton just gave that job over to a friend of mine. He took over as co-coach, and he off to a bad start. But he did a pretty good job last year as being the interim. So you got to give him a year or two to get his kind of people in there and see what happens.
Hey, Coach, we had both of these coaches on the show, and you said you stamped both of these guys with the winner's seal of approval. But only one of them won last weekend. What did you think about that, Coach?
Man, I talked to Trey Oliver, about the game, and both of them agreed. Sean and him agreed that, Sean's got to change the culture in North Carolina, A&T. He's got a lot of work to do. And then when they get 3 quarterbacks knocked out, and now you're down to number 4 at an FCS school, you really, really down. This kid, who's ever playing quarterback now, maybe came there to play something else, and now he's taking snaps as the quarterback. So he's upfield battle on one leg on ice. So they just gotta stay with him, and I think he can get that thing turned around.
Hey, Coach, can I ask you a question? This is going to be controversial, and this is not being disrespectful, but I gotta ask it. I read the article. I sent you guys the article. And let me see if I can pull that up, because I want to quote it accurately, because I think this is important, because this goes back to Doug Williams. Let me see if you can give me a – I apologize. I should have had it up, but you just triggered something in me. So, okay, here we go. So he said – let me get his quote here. He said that the head coach described a locker room in which too many players are quick to criticize or undercut their teammates instead of supporting them. We've got too many guys that hate on this team, he admitted. Anytime my teammate has an opportunity to shine, I got to support him. Those are things we got to work on. So I read that, but then I guess this goes back to my question. A lot of these guys he recruited as transfers. So where does that come into play? And this goes back to the Trey Oliver and also to the thing with Doug Williams. Are we not realizing there's a reason why these guys are in the portal? And maybe we really should focus more on the integrity of high school kids that actually want to be at our schools? Because no disrespect to Coach Gibbs, but when I heard that, I'm like, well, what was your evaluation when you were bringing them in? These. You got to remember,
Mr. Campbell, Coach Gibbs told us he only brought in 9 transfers.
That's it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then I stand corrected.
That was one of the things that I had a point of contention is, I was like, how are you gonna expect to win and you only brought in 9 guys? He brought in 5 guys from Fort Valley State, and he brought in 4 transfers.
Okay, so then I'll flip it then. Okay, so then this goes back to the second part of it. So no, Coach Gibbs, not to be disrespectful, I'm asking a question of Coach. You made the statement, so I'm trying to understand the statement. So if that's the point, Rocky, then when you're going through this, did you not say, let me do like a lot of coach, let me get rid of all these guys because they're cancers and start over fresh? See, it's an either or. So either you brought them in or you said, so that's why I found it interesting when he said that, because look at what Deion did. Deion came to Jackson State and said, y'all got to go. This is not Jackson State standard. He got rid of those guys that was a cancer at Jackson State University. He did the same thing. You get a lot of coaches that have done this. You look at what Sam Shea, he said, I kept some guys I didn't keep. I brought in guys that were going to change the culture, and things like that. But Trey always built his culture from the ground up. So I just found that interesting. So, Coach, I guess my question is to you, when you see a statement like that, what is the next step that you do? Do you say, okay, at the end of the season, I'm going to get rid of all these guys? Or do you try to build these guys up like what the coach is talking about?
Well, I have to be honest, Coach. I think you're right. As a coach, they make you head coach. And you got to evaluate these players. You had the spring football practice. You got to evaluate them. You got to make sure you pick up on them things. And so when you get ready to come in and play, you should already know that. Somewhere down the line, I got to say to Coach Gibbs, you missed some important things when you're saying that it's some kids on here that don't like each other. We all working for one common goal, and that's to win football games. So, he on his honeymoon, though, and, he's going to have to get rid of some of them, and he's got to change the culture there.
Yeah. And like I said, no, and Coach Gibbs, like I said, this is just a question because it was a question asked to me to ask Coach Cole. So that's why, and I apologize because, Rocky, you guys interviewed and I wasn't on. So I apologize. I didn't want to misquote anything because that's very important. So thank you for that correction.
Yeah, Mr. Campbell, that's what I wanted to kind of and I kind of challenged him on it. And I said, Coach, do you think you have enough talent in the building to compete with what you had? And he was like, yeah, I think we got enough guys, whatever. Now he did say that, that he felt like he had enough guys, but obviously he doesn't.
I could truly say, guys, when I came into different programs, I've been in 4 different programs that we turned around. Out of that spring, when I came out of that spring, I knew who I need to get rid of and who was going to buy into what we're trying to do. And that's why you do things like making sure this is the uniform we wear, we behind the line, this is how we handle it. And you no earrings, sitting in front of the classroom. And people gonna show their color. They're gonna show their true color. And then you can find out those are the guys that we need to move on. And especially if they're disrespecting the program during the spring and the summer. So that falls on Gibbs. As much as I think he's gonna get it going in the right direction, And then sometimes, guys, let me admit to this as well. You fall in love with talent. A couple of those guys probably he felt that could play is like cancer. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you get caught up in that as a coach. And when you losing football games or losing a big game, it'll show its true color. And then you got to do what you need to do. Just like he put the one kid out for, I guess he put some water on Coach Oliver. Right. That's what you got to do. You got to make somebody out of an example that this is going to be the standard. The standard is the standard.
Absolutely, Coach. And then our last guy against Sacred Heart, Norfolk hosted Sacred Heart in a heartbreaker. Where Norfolk trailed most of the game. They were able to fight back and tie, and I think they tied the game. And then, no, they didn't tie the game. I think that they went. They may have even took the lead, if I'm not mistaken. No. They let me look at the game cast, cuz Because I want to say at one point either they had the lead or the game was tied. No, they were down 10. They were down 10. So they were down 10, scored a touchdown. And then I think the game unfolded where they missed a field goal at the end of the game to lose. I want to ask Coach Cole, based on what you've seen from Norfolk, is this loss an improvement over their first 3 games?
I'm kind of glad you asked me that, because, and I still say, I'm against guys that don't, it's like as you call me, a career coach, and these guys jumping from the pros. I got to say they are doing an exceptional job. I think this is a moral win for Norfolk. I think they came in, they played well and playing well. Delaware State, I think, their schedule fits what they need for being first-year guys to come in and make some mistakes and that kind of thing. So, no, I take my hat off. If you go back and look at Norfolk State playing teams like that, they were getting beat pretty bad. So I give them both for 8 this weekend.
Coach, but here's the situation I want to say, Coach. When you talk about production, they did play well. They auto threw for 340. They ran for 210. But they had they had 1 interception and 2 lost fumbles. Coach, like, I understand what you're saying. They for all intents and purposes, they were in this game the whole time, but because of the mistakes they were making, it seemed like they were going uphill. And I definitely want to go to penalties to see where they are. And they've made some improvement on penalties. They were 9 for 77.
That's still too
many.
Yeah.
That's still too many.
And
so
look at time of possession.
Now, let me ask you this here, Coach, while we're talking about this. And I'm not talking about the team improving, because we know the team is probably going to improve over time. How much can a coach who has never coached a Division I game as a head coach before, how much can he improve from game to game in his inaugural season as head coach?
I think it's just like the players. I mean, each game you learn a little more about yourself. And the biggest thing is how much are the people around you good and that's improving. Because, being a first-year coach, I know you're not the smartest in that room. Brother, you bring a lot of guys in there that don't have a lot of experience at all. So everybody is in there guessing. So I think as a staff, they're growing. When you look at turnovers, when you look at did we get 11 out on the field? Do we look at the penalties? So as a coaching staff, I think you improve game to game because situations are always different as well. So each situation brings a different type of call or different type of experience to the head coach that he'll put that one in his pocket. Prime example, hopefully with my man down in Texas Southern, he don't get in another situation where a team he's punting at his 2-yard line, he's up 7 with 45 seconds left, that he gonna go and walk out the end zone and take the 2 points and kick them back. So, or it's 6 seconds left in the game and you're at the 17 and you need to get in the end zone to win the game. You don't need no field goal. Hell no, I'm not going to be in man coverage. I'm going to sit back and we're going to let him throw the ball underneath and rally up and tackle, game over. So, yeah, you'll learn year to year. You should. But if you don't, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
All right, Coach, next week for the MEAC, as we go over these games, we got Delaware State and Sacred Heart.
Right there. You see who Delaware State is playing.
Yes.
Who open played just last week. So, Coach, if Deshaun Jackson beat Sacred Heart and Mike Vick lost to him, does that mean anything? Does that mean something?
Well, one thing, it means that Deshaun Jackson, Delaware State, is way ahead of Norfolk getting better.
So I'm gonna
But I
say
told you guys the first of the year when I seen Delaware State came out, right? I said, man, I mean, this looked like this guy's is paying attention to details. You know, they don't look like the Delaware State of old. You know, just how they dress and look and approach the game. I thought it was a different there. So, yeah, I would think that Deshaun is way ahead of Norfolk.
Coach, I don't see how you can do any better offensively than compiling almost 550 yards. You know, that's what Norfolk State did. I don't think Delaware State is going to compile that many yards, but they may not give up 28 points either. So I believe there's a space where we can recognize that Norfolk State is a good team or a competitive team, and Delaware State still wins. Because like I say, Norfolk State lost the game, but if you look at their offensive production, they were very productive in that game.
Yeah. Well, that the only stat really count now is the W and the L.
Well, Rocky, I'm gonna say
on one Saturday night, Johnnie Cole was throwing a 6 touchdown.
No, and that's why I say no, Coach. Coach, the effort you give matters. Effort you give, you never forget those nights.
Well, I'm telling you this: the Delaware State, which they have that strong running game compared to Norfolk's running game, could be a big difference. So,
I wouldn't. In my heart of hearts, I believe Delaware State is ahead of Norfolk.
Hey,
no doubt.
Who is Adrian Cook? He said Delaware State beat the H out of them. Vic might go back to the dog ranch. That's your cousin.
So do not entertain him, please. Do not entertain that boy.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah, he ain't got good sense, Coach. Hey, Coach. So Norfolk has Wagner. Historically, what does Wagner have, Coach? You know about these schools.
Oh, well, of course they play good, solid football up there. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna make a lot of mistakes. They're gonna keep the game close, but they don't have great team speed like we have. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And if they in those schools, they either good and gonna be ranked or they just bad.
Okay, gotcha. So you got Norfolk or Wagner, Coach?
I'm gonna take Norfolk.
What about you, Campbell?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Norfolk. They're in the Northeast Conference. They're really Wagner's a basketball school.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what they make it. They're a basketball school. They make good runs in the tournament and stuff like this. So football is just one of those things they gotta have just to have. So no, football is not there especially. Now basketball, it'd be by 40.
Hey, and then now is this game, from what I understand, if it was a ACT or SAT competition, it'd be really good competition as well. But they're playing football. So, Coach, who you think is going to win?
Man, them Richmond Spiders, man. I'm going to go with the Richmond Spiders.
What about you, Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, I'm not sold on Howard. Offensively, I still think they're still challenged. Again, they're supposed to beat Hampton. Hampton's not a good team. They showed that. Howard, like I say, they beat us. But again, we gave that game away. So, like I say, I don't think Howard has enough to beat Richmond, not at all.
Even though Richmond lost to a Wofford team that lost to South Carolina? Oh, they beat a Wofford team that lost to South Carolina. Okay. All right. So we'll see. I'm gonna go with you guys and take the Richmond Spiders. I think this game right here.
What is Florida State going on? A Division II? My man over there. He's trying to pick up wins.
Anywhere else.
Yeah, he's trying to get some wins, Coach. He's trying to get some wins.
Hey, baby. Coach, do you blame him, Coach?
No, I don't blame him, Coach. Because fans, man, they don't forget they forget who you play. All they remember is that record.
All right. I think we all got Morgan State. This Charleston Southern game is interesting, but I got to take South Carolina State.
Yeah, I got to take South Carolina State as well.
What about you, Cam?
Did they not play them last year and beat them, I believe? I could be wrong. But no, I got it. Like, listen, I've watched that South Carolina State team. They've played the FBS teams that they played them strong. They played them hard. Gave them a run for money. Chinsbury's got that thing working down there. Again, one of the things that was interesting, though, when they played South Florida, I watched that game, and they had a brother that was played at University of Notre Dame wide receiver. He did make a statement I found interesting. He said, Coach, you need to figure out who your quarterback is going to be. And I got to agree with that. Chinnis has been playing this, but maybe he's getting ready for MEAC play. But I still just don't understand why he's going back and forth with his quarterbacks. I think Stubberville should be the guy.
One thing that Jenkins said yesterday, a experienced coach knows situational football. And maybe that's what's missing with Vic, and we'll see how that goes. As you say, experienced coaches knows those situations.
Now check this here, Coach. The best coach at HBCU football, in my opinion, Coach Trey Oliver, is traveling to Texas to take on East Texas A&M, Coach. This is kind of an out-of-market game for them. For them to take this trip all the way to East Texas is interesting to see. It seems like they could travel just as far and play a Grambling or play a Southern at home or maybe even a Jackson State, But they're playing East Texas A&M, Coach. How do you see this game, Coach?
I got North Carolina State big. I watched them against Grambling. North Carolina Central going to be coming downhill. Harris is, has got his confidence back. I see North Carolina Central by 2 touchdowns.
What about you, Campbell?
Yeah, hey, listen, Grambling beat East Texas A&M. I believe that North Carolina State is 2 times better than Grambling. I don't think they'll have any problem. And I think, I could have sworn that this game had to get picked up because they thought they had another game against HBCU that fell through. So they picked this game up last minute. But you know what the great thing about it is, Trail? It's always good to get down to Texas. Let people see your program. Let people see what kind of coach you are. Again, a lot of talent down there. So I think for him, it's also a recruiting trip.
That's good.
Now they took a bus to Atlanta, didn't they?
Yeah, that's a good observation, man, Coach.
So now, Rocky, I think they will take a plane. Now, Rocky, you tell where is actually? I know it's in East Texas.
It's in Commerce. It's in Commerce, right, Coach?
Yes.
It's in Commerce. Commerce is probably what, an hour and a half outside the Metroplex.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they're flying to Dallas from Durham and get on down there. So hey, man, that's a good flight. That's a good flight for those kids.
Yeah.
And Franklin might be he said that's a recruiting trip.
Oh, yeah. Well, Franklin is probably, his parents going to be at the game, I guarantee you. No. Chris Mosley's parents going to be at the game. He's from North Crowley. So his parents, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people watching Chris Mosley in that game. That's the running back from NCCU. And I'm sure he's going to light it up. So I'm going to take NCCU in that game as well.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.